I've been hinting for months on my Bookstagram account about something that I'm really excited to try. I'm gonna try to host my first really big read-along, and that is Mary Shelley May. Mary Shelley doesn't get a whole lot of love. People really talk up, and always have, Frankenstein. There's so much more to Mary Shelley than Frankenstein. So much more. I really want to honor her. So let me tell you a little story first. This is me in front of a grave. I'm in front of Mary Wollstonecraft's grave in London. I was waiting for my train to Haworth in Yorkshire by way of Leeds. And I was in London. And I was wandering around in the neighborhoods behind King's Cross Station. And I just happened upon a churchyard with a bunch of old-looking graves. And so I decided to go into the church and wander around. I didn't really know where I was. And at first I was really excited because I saw a grave for Handel's son or grandson, I don't even know, but it had the name and it was obviously an important grave, and I was excited about that. But then I stumbled upon another grave and realized, whoa, wait a minute, this really kind of like unobtrusive, well-mended but not fancy in any way, shape, or form grave is Mary Wollstonecraft's grave. And having been a Mary Shelley fan for a long time, I know that Percy and Mary used to meet in that place before they were allowed to be together because he was married and she was young. So they used to have clandestine meetings there on her grave. It was just, I had chills. And although probably everybody and their brother knows that that's where her burial place is and that around that area Mary Shelley's house was, and Mary Godwin's, before she was Shelley, house was, like, I didn't know where I was. I was some tourist wandering around trying to bide her time until she could get to what she really wanted to see, the Brontes. But I happened upon Mary Wollstonecraft's grave, and I had a renewed obsession. This was about 6 years ago. Has it been that long? I really need to get back to London, but about 6 years ago. And I have been obsessed once again with Mary Shelley like I haven't been since I was a teen. I am really excited to invite you to spend the month of May reading books by and about and inspired by the work of Mary Shelley and her crew. So what I have pulled together is the kind of read-along that I really like. One which has a very decent blend of structure and independent choice. I will have a Discord available for you to join if you so choose. I will also set up conversations in Goodreads if that is where you feel comfortable. I will also, and probably be most, active on Bookstagram under this name, Chicky Bean Loves Books. Links for all of these things will not be found on this video, but will be found on my next video. Also in my link tree. I'll add them to my link tree. They aren't available now because it's a month away. It's way too soon, friends. But I wanted to give this announcement to you as soon as I felt was feasibly reasonable, because it could take you some time to pull together your list, your TBR. I haven't pulled together my TBR yet, although I do have a stack of books here to show you some possibilities. I have pulled together a choose your own adventure bingo board. So the goal is to read or participate in 5 Mary Shelley related books and activities. You can choose any 5 that you like. You could also be an overachiever like me and try to black out your board. In the center of the board is the group read, and the group read will, of course, be Frankenstein. I will also be giving a breakdown of a reading plan and providing us with some background information, some background material. Discussions for this will be held in Discord and on Bookstagram and in Goodreads. And this is the center. This is the center of the bingo board. But there's all sorts of other ways to participate. So to make a bingo, you could choose a path that asks you to read something else by Mary Shelley. So there are another work of fiction by Mary Shelley, and whether you know it or not, there are quite a few. I don't have copies of everything, but I have 3 copies right here and right now. There's Matilda, which I have not read yet. It's super short, and I will read it. I think that this is a story about an incestuous relationship between a father and a daughter. Maybe that's why it hasn't stood the test of time. I don't know. But I think that's what this one is about. So there's that possibility. There's this one, which I have read and absolutely loved. This is Maurice, or The Fisher's Cot. This is actually a children's story that Mary Shelley wrote while living in Italy for one of the daughters of a pretty famous woman in her own right, which I can tell you more about later in another Mary Shelley May video. But Maurice, or The Fisher's Cot, is another possibility. Great read. I also have this one, which I read and hated. This is Valperga, or The Life and Adventures of Castruccio, Prince of Lucca, by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. And this is a historical fiction which takes place in Italy, and I really just found it so dull and boring, and understand why this one has not stood the test of time. However, if you really enjoy something like The Mysteries of Udolpho, you might really enjoy this one. I do not really enjoy The Mysteries of Udolpho. Not my favorite. But the writing style is similar. It's also a work of Gothic fiction, but this is more historical fiction than that. And I just found it kind of boring. But it's there. It exists. It's in print. There's also, which I do not have a copy of, but which I have read, The Last Man, which is an apocalyptic book. Very fascinating. Very fascinating. So those are some options. Your journey on the bingo board might ask you to read a book of nonfiction by Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley wrote, and I only have one on me, but Mary Shelley wrote many travelogues, which you can read. They're fascinating. A lot of those are available online. You could read poetry. You could read letters. She wrote political pamphlets. She also wrote letters, like I said. And I have this, and I have never read this. I just purchased this. Selected Letters of Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. I got this for $5 on Better World Books. Abe's Books has a bunch of Mary Shelley nonfiction stuff available for cheap. If you look at a local bookstore, you're not going to find anything. And if you look on Amazon, it's going to be super expensive. Go to Better World Books, Abe's Books, Thrift Books, all of these places have things like this available at a very affordable price. You might be asked to read or you might choose a path that asks you to read a biography. Somewhere on my shelf, I forgot to pull it off my shelf, but somewhere on my shelf I have Desperate Romantics, which is a dual biography of Mary Shelley and her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft, and it's so well written. I've already read that one though. I also have this children's book, which is She Made a Monster, How Mary Shelley Created Frankenstein. And I've not read this one, but I am really into it. Oh, look, there she is at the grave. I was at that grave. So I will be reading this. I promise you. I've owned it for a while, but have not read it yet. You might be asked to read a book inspired by Mary Shelley, her life, her work. I have an instance of that. We've got The Wollstonecraft Detective Agency, The Case of the Missing Moonstone. This is a whole series of books which puts Byron's daughter, Lord Byron's daughter, Ada Lovelace, into like an equal stance. I think Ada is 11 and Mary Shelley is, or Mary Godwin, because she's not married yet, but Mary Godwin is 14. But it places them together as friends, and they solve crimes and mysteries together around London. Sounds fascinating. Wouldn't exist without Mary Shelley. or the success of Frankenstein. You might find yourself on a trajectory on that bingo board that asks you to read something by Percy Shelley, or that asks you to read something by Lord Byron, or that asks you to read something by a contemporary. It might ask you to read something by Mary Wollstonecraft. All of these things are readily available. I don't have them with me right now, but they're all readily available online, in bookstores, at libraries. You might be asked to read about a strong female character from history or in fiction. I have 2 books here that might help. I've got Mad Mary Lamb. The Lambs they wrote a lot of things, but Mary and her brother wrote retellings of Shakespeare's plays, which were published by Mary Godwin's father. So there's a connection there. And apparently Mary Lamb kills people. I did not know this. Charles Lamb was her brother. So let me just read this because it's fascinating to me. It says, Mary Lamb, a dutiful daughter, well-liked by just about everyone, killed her own mother with a carving knife. She spent the rest of her life in and out of madhouses, yet the crime and its aftermath opened up a life that no woman of her time or class could have expected. Freed to read extensively, Mary Lamb discovered her talent for writing, and she and her brother, the essayist Charles Lamb, embarked on a literary collaboration that resulted in the famous tales from Shakespeare. Confidant to many of Britain's romantics, including Coleridge, Godwin, that's Mary Shelley's father, and Wordsworth, Mary Lamb stood at the vibrant center of a colorful literary circle. Through a deep reading of history, letters, and literature, Susan Tyler Hitchcock brings to life an intriguing portrait of Mary Lamb and her world. Fascinating. Strong woman. This one is also fascinating to me. This is L.E.L., The Lost Life and Scandalous Death of Letitia Elizabeth Landon, the celebrated female Byron. And this is by the very well-known and lauded biographer Lucasta Miller. Lucasta Miller did some work about the Brontes, which I really, really appreciated. And I don't know who Letitia Elizabeth Landon is, but it starts with this quote from Virginia Woolf. Do you know the story of L.E.L., the poetess who committed suicide, as some say, but others feel sure was murdered? No, I don't know that story, but I'm going to read this and find out. You might be asked to read something else that is Gothic fiction. You can go down the route of like Udolpho, or you could go down the route of Victoria Holt on the night of the 7th moon. So you don't have to feel like you have to read classics for a month. We can pull from anything. You don't have to only read Mary Shelley or Mary Wollstonecraft or Percy, or you can read a large variety. The point is to realize what an influence Mary Shelley has had on literature. You may also be asked, if you're not going to go the Gothic route, because Frankenstein is political fiction, Gothic fiction, science fiction, but I've just pulled some things. You could read Brandon Sanderson, Skyward. Science fiction is what it is, partly thanks to Mary Shelley. I am really excited, if you can't tell. I am very excited about this whole event, and I would love for you to join me. I realize that I am a very small booktuber. Very small booktuber. And I am not doing this to grow. If I grow, that's awesome. I don't want to shrink. But what I'm really doing this for is to find people who are also really excited about Mary Shelley and to connect with them and to give them a way to also connect with others who are really excited about Mary Shelley. I don't know what the outcome of this readathon will be. I don't know if it will happen once and never again. I don't know if nobody will join me. I don't know if 4 people will join me. I don't know if suddenly 2,000 people will join me. I have no idea and no expectation. I'm just putting this out there because I want to spend a month reading things related to and inspired by and about Mary Shelley. And I think I'm probably not alone in that. So if you've stumbled upon this video and you want to participate, please let me know. You will also be able, in the link tree right now, you are able to find my Bookstagram account where I am much more active than anywhere else. Starting in the middle of April, I will make the discussions available so that people can start sharing ideas of books that they're going to choose to read and which path on the bingo board they're going to try to fulfill. There are a total of 25 prompts. You could try to do a blackout. Some of the prompts, I forgot to say this, some of the prompts ask you to watch films. Some of them ask you to take part in an activity, everything from create a playlist to bake something Frankenstein inspired, lots of different fun things to do. Blackout poem, I'll include instructions in the link tree for how to do blackout poems if you're not familiar. Lots of fun ways to get involved, lots of fun ways to think about Mary Shelley and the influence that this woman has had on our world. Look back here for a reminder halfway through the month of April. And then in May, there will be some Mary Shelley May content coming out to you. Again, the Discord group and the Goodreads groups will be available to people to join starting in the middle of April. They're not there for you now because it's just too early. The bingo board is available to you now in the link below. The bingo board is also available to you on Bookstagram. So you can start thinking, what do you want to do? How do you want to participate? No matter what you do though, I would love for you to please use the hashtag Mary Shelley May. Whether you are, no matter what social media platform you are on, please use Mary Shelley May so that people will know that this is happening. You don't have to mention me. I don't care about, like I said, I don't care about growing. That is not what this is about. What this is about is community, to help facilitate, in this instance, connections for people. So if you want to mention me, that's fine. But that's not what this is about. What this is about is finding people who have something in common, which in this case happens to be a love of Mary Shelley and the things that she has made more normal in our life. Maybe not incestuous relationships. Matilda, not a big read at the moment, but who doesn't know Frankenstein or his monster? So, yeah. Anyway, I think I'm rambling, but I'm really excited about this, and it's bigger than anything I've ever attempted to do online. I'm excited about it. Yeah, let me know if you're going to participate, either through simply liking this video if you want to remain anonymous, or leaving me a comment to say, hey, I think I'm going to participate, or I'm not going to participate, but I know people who might like to, so I'll tell them about this. Use the hashtag Mary Shelley May. Let's spend some time talking about things Mary Shelley related and inspired. In the meantime, let's go read.